everyone, and thank you for joining me from your series of tubes. This is the Yoshi Cast. I'm Yoshi. Today is Tuesday, October 9th, 2018, and this is episode 21 of Bag and Board. Yoshi! Welcome back, everyone, and thank you for joining me while I take a ridiculous amount of care in bagging and boarding my books I picked up from the comic book store. Forgive my voice. I am fighting a cold, and it has just wreaked havoc on my voice, and I almost lost it yesterday, but I'm going to try and power through this. I have way more books than I normally have to bag and board on this show, and I'm excited to share them with you because I've read a bunch of them. I'm also going to be displaying them in order of the books I like the most to the least. I did like all of the books, but just some of them were better than the others. I've also, at the very end, got a couple of sketch covers to go over with you. So let's kick everything off with a brand new book from Image Comics, Dead Rabbit issue number 1. This book had 2 covers at my local comic book store, and I liked this variant cover. It was very interesting to me, and I figured, you know, it seems like Image Comics is putting out a lot of number 1s lately, and I figured I'd give one a shot. And so last week was Dead Rabbit, and I gave it a shot, and honestly, I dug it. I dug it a lot. It was tied for a long time with the next book on my list, but finally it won out. So, in a word, Dead Rabbit is a gritty book. It is a gritty story with gritty art, and it all comes together really well. In this universe, we don't have any superheroes. We're not dealing with anybody like that. This character, Dead Rabbit, is a rogue person who's just out there stealing from the rich, stealing from the poor, stealing from the good, and stealing from the bad. He has no loyalties to anything or any code that is obvious. The first, I would say, third of the book is kind of like a flashback sequence of this guy known as Dead Rabbit, establishing that. He stole a lot of money from good, bad, rich, and poor people. He didn't seem to discriminate. And there's a little undertone of like a mafia boss here who is upset over the large amount of money that was stolen from him. A large amount of money that doesn't actually get clarified. The news report that kind of overlays this whole flashback is saying 20 million was stolen, but it was less than that. It was far less than that. And that big sum of money was stolen 20 years ago. So for 20 years, he's been living, this Dead Rabbit character's been living high on the hog, spending all that money, and after 20 years, he's pretty much tapped out now. And we see who he is today, who nobody realizes who he is but his wife. His wife is a crippled, I'm not sure exactly what's wrong with her, but she is confined to a wheelchair. He's had to take a job at Walmart. I think in the book they call it the Mart, but it's obviously a dig at Walmart. There's even a whole little plot there. It's like, these people come in here and they work their lives away without even enough money to buy food. They're all living on food stamps here. So there's some digs at Walmart. He kind of profiles a guy that walks into the Mart as somebody who's trying to dispose of bodies based on what he had in his shopping cart. And Dead Rabbit, the main character here, is like, this guy's an amateur. And he follows him home to wherever this guy lives. Puts on his suit, beats the crap out of him and his partner that's living in this building, and discovers that in his basement or behind a false wall that leads to his basement, he's got a bunch of girls trapped down there on the verge of death. So the guy was at the Mart buying chemicals to dispose of the bodies. When Dead Rabbit sees this, he turns around and goes, nope, you two have to die, and dispatches both of them. And then the end of the book is his wife realizing that not only did he get a job at the Mart and has to supplement their income, or has to, because he spent those millions he stole 20 years ago, but she also sees on the news that Dead Rabbit is back, and she is furious about it. There's also a little hint at the end of the book that the Dead Rabbit character's the mafia bosses also, the people that stole the large amount of money, he stole the large amount of money from, the millions from, also see the same news report that he's back, and they're furious and they're coming after him with a vengeance. So this was a really gritty book. It was a very unique story for me. It's not a typical comic book story in my opinion, and it was really good. I really enjoyed it, and it takes first place for this week's read. So I am gonna follow Dead Rabbit another issue at least. This is one I'm gonna play by issue and see if I enjoy it still. I did enjoy it though. It was a good book. Dead Rabbit #1 from Image Comics. It was, well, this is the variant cover. I'm gonna assume it was a $3 or $4 book. I had to pay a little bit more for the variant. But yeah, Dead Rabbit #1 from Image Comics. Great story. Give it a check out if you're looking for something new to read. Next up, the book that was competing for first place this week for me is What If is back, everybody. What If Flash Thompson became Spider-Man? There were 2 What If books on my comic book, the new releases shelf. This is the one based on the cover art alone that intrigued me. There was another one involving the X-Men, but the cover art didn't really sell me on it. This one did. And I thought I'd give it a shot. It's, you know, I never consistently read What If back in the day, and this was kind of a nostalgic purchase. And it was a damn good purchase, because this was a good book. Now, here's a character, Spider-Man, that on some level most of the world is familiar with. So you're not going into a book like this completely dry. Flash Thompson, let me remember exactly what happens here. He gets bitten by the radioactive spider, not Peter Parker. He stops the criminal that would eventually have gone on to kill Uncle Ben from Peter Parker's life. Flash Thompson has a crappy home life. J. Jonah Jameson loves this incarnation of Spider-Man, and Flash Thompson is an asshole. Let me explain this to you. Like, if you want to know what Spider-Man would be like as an asshole, this is your book. This is definitely your book. I was completely blown away and a bit caught off guard by that. In this What If, and I don't ever recall anything like this in previous What Ifs, but it's narrated by a mystical version by Sergeant Fury, Agent Fury. It's narrated by a mystical version of Agent Fury, and it works. It explains a lot of stuff. There's a lot of stuff that happens in this book that is iconic. Like just one example is this scene, this famous, I believe it's Steve Ditko art, where Spider-Man is trapped and he has to mentally boost himself up to be able to lift the heavy machinery that's fallen on him. This is iconic. There's this scene here. This is the robber that Flash Thompson stops, that ends up is the guy who in the Peter Parker version of the universe kills Uncle Ben. This never happens because he stopped him. There's a couple of things like that happen in this book that I recognize, and I think anybody who's just a casual fan of Spider-Man will also get it, will also be impacted by it like I was. It was really good. It was a great story. In the end, Peter comes to Flash. He figures out who Spider-Man is, comes to Flash's mobile home, and sees the shitty life he lives in, and it's just like, you're Spider-Man? Are you kidding me? It's you? Like, coming from Peter Parker, who's just a nerd and somebody with low self-esteem in this universe. Like, he's just shocked. It's Flash, Flash Thompson. So, Aunt May is really ill, and she needs this particular cancer-fighting drug, and he absolutely begs Flash to help him, and Flash is just on an anger tear, just completely unstoppable, just so enraged over a fight he had with his mom. He can't handle it. He ends up getting so mad at Peter for being a photographer for the Daily Bugle, making him look bad in the papers, that he punches Peter in the gut and kills him right then and there. Instant remorse from Flash at that moment. Instant remorse. He ends up going and stopping the criminals who were preventing Aunt May from getting the cancer-fighting drug. The end of the book ends with Flash turning himself into the police, hoping that one day he can be a real true hero. And Aunt May and Uncle Ben are just crying their eyes out because their nephew, Peter Parker's dead. Really, really good book. Really good. I think I really can't explain why I made Dead Rabbit #1. Something about it, just I like that story, the rawness of the story. This was good too. I mean, you can't go wrong. I feel like both of these books are definite winners. So check it out. What If #1. This was a $4 book. I don't know if there were variant covers for this. I did not see any. But that's a pretty damn good cover, and I was happy with it. All right, everybody, next up, one of my favorite books that I've been telling you about and suggesting everybody read, Cosmic Ghost Rider, issue #4. This one picks up right where the last one left off. And where did the last one leave off? It left off with adult Thanos coming through a time portal and meeting Cosmic Ghost Rider and baby Thanos. And it picks up right from there. This was not a very funny issue. This was story, world building, character development issue, and it wasn't done poorly. I'm not saying that negatively. It was done really good. Of course, I like to laugh. It's me. I wish there were more jokes in this, but it was still good. It's still putting the story together, and I'm enjoying it. Thanos, adult Thanos, pulls baby Thanos and the Cosmic Ghost Rider through his portal and takes him back to the world that both Cosmic Ghost Rider and Thanos built together. And immediately, Cosmic Ghost Rider is presented with a utopia. And he's like, holy shit, we did it. We put it all together. This worked. Cable was wrong. And in the back of my head, the whole time I'm reading this exposition, I'm thinking like, wait a minute, if Cable was wrong, then why did Cable make his way through? I mean, look at this utopia. It's absolutely beautiful. He's completely in shock. People are happy. You know, he's totally just like, holy shit, yes. He even smiles. And then he realizes that not as all as it seems. He starts to put stuff together. You kind of have to remember Cosmic Ghost Rider as a character isn't all there. He's a few short of a six-pack. But then he's like, wait a minute, something doesn't make sense. And he realizes that a good chunk of the world is literally fenced off, blocked off, kind of like Days of Futures Past in a sense. I got that thing. But Thanos and all the other superheroes are kind of all segregated to there. Those people who would not forcibly conform to Cosmic Ghost Rider's and Thanos' idea of a utopia, they got segregated. They got left over here in this bad patch. So you kind of see from the imagery, like all the effort, I mean literally all the effort Cable had to go through to train and bring people to try and stop him in the previous issue, and failed time and time again. And I gotta look at the pictures. As I recall, it ends, Cosmic Ghost Rider is not happy about this. This isn't working. He's not thrilled. And Thanos takes baby Thanos and kind of implies he's gonna raise himself now, since Cosmic Ghost Rider doesn't seem to be up to the task that he was originally up to. But you know, Cosmic Ghost Rider realizes this ain't working. We got to try something different here, and Thanos does not take too kindly to that, and that's where we leave off. I don't know. Maybe it's wrong of me to assume that each issue was going to have something super funny in it. This is the first one that didn't have something that didn't make me smile or laugh, but it was good. Again, good character development, good world building, and I'm still anxiously awaiting the next issue. That's it, guys. Cosmic Ghost Rider issue #4. This was the cover I liked. This was a $4 book. Check them out if you haven't been. Next up is a comic book I had added to my pull list months ago, and I was really thinking this would be my #1 pick. I was super stoked when it came out. I was super stoked to read it. I enjoyed it. Again, I feel bad that I even put these in an order this week. I'm just trying something new. But We're talking Sleepwalker #1 from the Infinity Wars storyline. The reason I was so stoked to get into Sleepwalker is because, you know, he was created by Bob Budiansky, and Bob Budiansky has a Transformers connection. He wrote, more or less, the first 50 issues of the original G1 Transformers comic book storyline. He also is the mastermind behind nearly, like, all but Optimus Prime's name and personality of all the Transformers. Optimus Prime is pretty much the one that he liked when he was handed the project, and he kept. Everything else got changed, and thankfully he did, because he ended up with some great characters, some great names that Marvel, Hasbro, Sunbow, all those people used to create the cartoons, the movies, the comics, and the toys. So Sleepwalker, though Mr. Budiansky had nothing to do with this, that is another collection I am putting together and looking forward to reading, and I'm picking this up to do that. Now, I am not planning to read anything in the Infinity Wars. I know I've read the Thanos book because there was a tie-in to Cosmic Ghost Rider. I know I have read, and I'm reading, what is it, Darkhawk? And that was a prelude to Infinity Wars, I believe. So this one takes place alongside everything that's happening in Infinity Wars, and they kind of, they very gently tell everybody, you're reading a C-team book. You know, these aren't A-listers. I don't think these guys are going to show up in any of the main titles at all. There's more than just Sleepwalker in this book, but it's primarily about Sleepwalker. So what I gather from this is there's a big event going down. It kind of went down in Central Park, and if you've been reading Infinity Wars proper, you know what I'm talking about. And Sleepwalker goes to address it. And holy cow, I was like, you're really, Marvel, you're letting a C-list character, Sleepwalker, he's within an inch, like right here. Like, this is the big event. You've got whoever Gamora has meshed together Captain America, Doctor Strange, and Moon Knight, and Spider-Man, and Sleepwalker is pissed, and he's there, and he's like this close from stopping it. I'm like, holy, I'm really getting into this. I'm really super, this is stoked. I'm awesome, yoink. They pulled him out before he could do a thing about it, and that bummed me out. That seriously bummed me out. It's unfortunate. I wonder if in the Infinity Wars proper book, I'm going to see if I can flip through that in my comic book store. I wonder if you can see Sleepwalker in the background of any of those scenes. I'd be really curious. Anyways, he gets pulled into the dreamscape, basically because Gamora snapped her fingers. Things have all gone loopy, and the Sleepwalkers, I forget exactly what they're called, but basically he's like, this is a good thing, because now we're not going to have to deal with so many scary dreams anymore. You're being reassigned. And he is upset about this. He's not taking too kindly to it. And he's already masterminding a way out of it. Here's something new. Maybe somebody can leave me a comment and explain Little Monster to me. I mean, is this a legitimate character? Was it just for this? Basically, it's the Hulk. But you know how the Hulk gets angrier and gets larger? Well, Little Monster, as he gets angrier, gets smaller. Which I found quite humorous, and Sleepwalker recruits this person as a tool. And that's kind of it. He's basically going to circumvent the other Sleepwalkers, and he wants to stop Gamora. We'll see what happens. I'm super stoked. I'm definitely going to buy all of this, even if it sucks. I don't think it's going to suck, but I was really bummed out that he got right there, right within an inch of stopping or saving Spider-Man and Captain America and those guys, and they just yoink. Nope, you don't get to do anything. Would have been so cool. Would have been so cool for me, anyways, being a Sleepwalker fan. So I would have also really have enjoyed, as a fan, a Sleepwalker blank cover. Maybe we'll get one in the future. We're certainly not getting one with this series. Also, I think this was the only available cover for this book. I could be wrong, but my comic book store didn't get any, and I haven't looked online. But it's a beautiful cover. I really dig it. So here we go, guys. Sleepwalker #1. This was a $4 book from Marvel Comics. This is part of the Infinity War storyline. Again, I'm not reading the Infinity War storyline proper, but I get the gist of what's going on in this book, and that's great. I don't feel like I have to buy all those other books. That could change, but right now I'm super happy, super stoked for the next issue. Alright people, next we have from Dynamite Comics, issue #1 of The Lone Ranger. The Lone Ranger is back. I had no idea this book was coming out last week. Saw it on my comic book shelf. I believe they had 4 covers. I wasn't too thrilled with any of them personally. But out of those, I hated this one the least, so I got it. And Yoshi, since you're talking about the book so negatively and its covers so negatively, why did you get it? That's a great question, people. I like Westerns. I love John Wayne. I like Tombstone. I like a lot of Westerns. Also, coming up, we've got Red Dead Redemption 2. I might be doing some videos about that when that game comes out. That game comes out at the end of the month. So I'm kind of really in a Western mood right now. And when I saw The Lone Ranger, I was like, let's try it. Let's see what we got here. So I picked up this copy. This is listed as cover B. And, you know, the story wasn't half bad. It was, you know, it's last in my list. It's my least popular book, but I still liked all of these. Like I have no buyer's regret in all of these, and a lot of them, the order, even now I'm second guessing, but I had to make an order to make this video, so that's what I did. This is definitely worth the $4 price tag. I enjoyed it, but I caveat that with, do you like Westerns? Are you super stoked for something like Red Dead Redemption 2? Have you read Western comic books in the past? Like, make sure you're in that zone before you take my recommendation to buy it. But I did enjoy it. Long story short with this book, we're taking place in Texas here. The people of Texas are unhappy because the richer people of Texas are putting up the wire, the barbed wire, and that is really upsetting the free-ranging cowboys. And a shootout happens between some of these rich folks with the wire and these free-ranging cowboys that gets the attention of the Lone Ranger, who essentially tries to stop everything. He ends up overhearing a conversation with some of these rich people and how grandiose their plan truly is. And the Ranger realizes he needs help, and he needs help bad. So at the end of the book, he goes seeking out Tonto. And I'm not sure what happened. I know there have been Lone Ranger books before this, and I believe some of them were by Dynamite Comics. I don't know if that's taking them into account. But, you know, he approaches the campsite where Tonto is supposed to be, saying, I know I agreed never to seek you out for help again, but this time it's different. We're dealing with the wire here, and we're dealing with people with a lot of money and a lot of influence, and I need your help. And it's kind of hard for me to tell. At the end of the book, you barely catch a glimpse of Tonto, and he seems to say the wire is bad and you've got my help. I kind of think that's where it implied with. We'll see. But there's obviously some static between the Ranger and Tonto. So that's going to be an aspect that plays out in the future. I am going to go ahead and pick up the next issue of this. But I don't know how long I'm going to follow along with it. Wasn't really wowed by it. It was a Western. It was a story, and for that I enjoyed it. I'm not used to consuming my Westerns in comic book form, so we'll see. We'll see how long I put up with that. I'm not sure yet, but I am going to get issue 2, and we'll talk about it here later. Let's stick with the Western thing, everybody. Here is a book I asked my comic book store to pick up for me. We have Zorro, #1, the blank cover variant from American Mythology Products. Swords of Hell, part 1 of 4. So this is either the storyline or this is only going to be a book that goes for 4 issues. I have not read this. I bought this Immediately, I asked my comic book store to get this for me immediately because I have an amazing idea for a sketch cover for this, and I'm looking forward to it. I picked up 5 copies of this blank variant to use. I may end up reading one of them. I just like Westerns, and we'll see if I liked it better than Lone Ranger, but I didn't get to it this week. But I've got a sick idea for a sketch cover. I'm looking forward to doing it. This is blank, front and back. I like that it's just the barcode on the back. I wish they'd pulled a Marvel and made it thinner and vertical. The logo is gorgeous. I don't like this green band across the top, and I don't need this on the bottom. Give the fans what they want. So this is Zorro #1 from American Mythology Products. This was a $7 book, and I really wanted a Zorro blank. I've got some ideas for him, so in the future I'll get to share them with you. Okay, so next up, a very interesting idea. So I guess last week was 24-hour comic book day. I don't know a lot about this. The idea is you take 24 hours, you create a comic book. Well, DC jumped on board with this idea. They released 2 blank books, not just covers, but books. Wonder Woman, Superman, and they did release a Batman. I did not pick up the Batman book. Why didn't I? I hate the current Batman logo. It's hideous. It is absolutely gross, and if I'm going to do a Batman sketch cover, it's got to be a beautiful Batman logo, and the current one is absolutely garbage, in my opinion. Feel free to disagree with me, but that's why I only went with Wonder Woman and Superman. Superman's pretty classic. Wonder Woman, this is a newer version. I kind of wish it was the older logo, but what are you going to do? I liked it a hell of a lot better than Batman's, that's for sure. So, like I said, this book is completely blank. It is white pages through and through to create your own Wonder Woman, Superman, or Batman comic book. This is the first time any comic book publisher has done this. And I think for that aspect alone, these books could be worth some money down the road because of that. We're gonna see, I really feel like we're gonna see more stuff like this. Like, I don't think blank comic books, blank comic book covers or blank comics like this have come anywhere close to their full potential. I think it's just going to get more and more impressive as time goes on, and I'm looking forward to what the future holds. But yeah, this book is completely blank. Now, this gave me an idea. Originally, I didn't have this idea, but what I've noticed at the conventions I go to, I think I first saw this for the very first time at a Transformers convention. Somebody brought a moleskin notebook. No, I don't think I need to put microchamber paper in this because there's nothing to protect. It's just blank pages. There's no ink that could cause any damage. I suppose maybe the logo, but that's pretty thick cardstock. I think I'm gonna pass. But I saw at a Transformers convention, like, there was a couple of people who had bought smaller blank moleskin notebooks, like no lines, nothing, just blank pages, and they were just going around to artists, you know, commissioning a page from everybody at the show, which is really cheap. It's a lot cheaper than doing something this size or the normal 8x11 that is very popular. And you know, 25 bucks, depending on the artist, you know, 25 bucks to maybe 100 bucks, you can get them to whip out a sketch for you on a smaller moleskin book. Now, as the years have progressed and going to other comic conventions, I'm seeing these blank moleskins in all kinds of sizes that they're just having artists do. So imagine taking a book like Wonder Woman here that's completely blank, and having artists fill in all the pages with just Wonder Woman art. Like, your mind goes crazy with all the possibility. I don't think it's realistic, I mean, unless you want to spend a lot of time and a lot of money to have a unique comic hand-drawn like that. But you could go to an artist's booth and say, hey, would you draw Wonder Woman flying through the air on this page? Could you draw Wonder Woman slinging, you know, playing with her lariat in another page? That would be really cool. Each page is a different artist, and you've got a different interpretation of an iconic character. And I love that idea. I think my piece of advice would be do the back and the front covers last, because I would think with as many blank pages that are in here, if you're going to get something like this done cover to cover, the front and back pages are gonna get scuffed. I'm like, in my head, I'm trying to figure out how do I prevent that from happening while artists are working on it. That's my biggest thing. So I would think you would want the art on the front and the back done the very last. And you'd probably, assuming that we can come up with a way, or I can come up with a way, or you can come up with a way to keep the front and back protected so that it's not too messed up after everybody has drawn on every other page, spend the money on a big name and have them do the front cover. You know, just go absolutely crazy on that front cover. So you've got a big name on the front cover. And then whoever you like for artists, have them fill out the inside of the book. I think that's a great idea. I think DC knocked this one out of the park. I really think we're going to see more stuff like this. And this book was cheap. This was a $3 book compared to all the other $4 books I've shown you today. A $3 blank book. This was, they didn't have to pay an artist for this. They didn't have to pay a writer for this. This was easy money for DC. So in that respects, I kind of think maybe $3 is a jip. But the paper stock is thicker than your average book. It has to be thicker. Artists hate glossy paper to draw on. This is the real deal. And it's awesome. Yeah, and Superman and Batman are the same way. These are blank through and through. And there's all kinds of ideas. Like, if you guys have ideas you want to share about and talk to me about and discuss with the other people that watch the show, like, leave comments down below. Like, people are watching, people are reading. I think there's a lot of potential there. You know, and I do know, at least in my town here, there are kids and adults who buy these blank covers to practice on. Like, they're not artists, they're not comic book artists, they're not anything like that. They're just doing that because it's fun, and you know, maybe this is a gift for somebody. So here you go, Wonder Woman and Superman, the 24-hour comic book day special book that came out last week. These were cheap. These are all blank. These are amazing. They're wrapped up in the Mylar. You know, as somebody who likes to collect art, I had to have these. They've never done this before. I think there's a lot we're going to see with blank stuff that artists can contribute to from the comic book industry in the future. We're just touching the ice, just touching the tip of the iceberg here. And that's all the books I have for this week, everybody. Thank you so much for joining me. If you've read any of these books, let me know what you thought of them. Are we on the same page? Are we not? I really am interested, and I wanna start a place where people can talk about this kind of stuff. I enjoyed these books, and if you've read them or you're picking up my recommendations, let me know what you think. I'm always checking. I'm checking older videos that people are commenting on. So please don't be shy. Share your thoughts. I'm really curious if you guys are enjoying it and enjoying these books and these reviews, or how I can do this better. Let me know. Again, everything I use to bag and board my books, you can find a link for them down below. I have a lot of fun doing this, and I'll see you in the next one. Later.